Hey everybody, welcome back to Culz Book Reviews. Today we are checking out another Michael Crichton book and the sequel to Jurassic Park, In the Lost World. This one came out a few years later after Jurassic Park had become a success. Steven Spielberg asked Crichton if he could write a book that, they could kind of adapt into a sequel film. And so Crichton delivered this book. And there's definitely some differences. I would say if you've never read the book, only seen the film, it's very much a different story, even more so than the Jurassic Park book, which we, told you guys there's lots of differences there. Now, before I do get into it, we had a full episode of the Society of Main Characters where the group discussed this book, so if you do want to see a pretty in-depth look, click that link above, but let's get started. Alright, so as far as the cover goes, we see the AMNH5027 Tyrannosaurus skull there, coming down to eat the title, which is really nice. I've always liked this design, just very simple but eye-catching, and while you can still tell it's Jurassic, it feels very different from the other one. And then below, obviously, we got Michael Crichton's name as the author, and then the title, The Lost World. I'm a huge fan of Crichton's work, so I think here in the next year or so, hopefully we can cover a lot more of these books. On the spine you see Michael Crichton, The Lost World, and a little bit carryover of the skull. And on the back you see actually the arms of the Tyrannosaurus, and then just the tagline, "Something has survived," with your ISBN if you need it. Now, sort of like the Jurassic one, there is different versions you can pick up. The one I had already showcased was the original hardcover, so that's why it looks the way it does. The one you might find in stores now, and it's going to be that trade paperback, it's going to look like this. You can see it has more of a silver coloring on the front, with The Lost World having these green lines. And then it has what I kind of assumed to be the Velociraptor. It doesn't look like the Tyrannosaur, and it does have 3 fingers there, with a very different head shape. So I always kind of thought it was the raptors, which are pretty much the main villain dinosaur in this book as well. Up top you do see Michael Crichton's name, this time in white lettering, and in between we see #1 New York Times bestseller. On the side we see Michael Crichton, The Lost World, with a skeleton there, which we'll see on the back as well. The back is in the green coloring as well, definitely a different vibe than the hardcover, and you can kind of see the continuation of the raptor tail, as well as the ISBN if you need that one. And right here you see an Allosaurus skeleton, which is kind of interesting since Allosaurus doesn't feature in the book at all. So, they just put on a dinosaur that wasn't Tyrannosaurus on here. Would have been maybe more of a cool little tie-in to put Carnotaurus or something. On this one we do see a couple different just quotes. In this one you do see another picture of Michael Crichton. It's the same one that we saw for Jurassic Park. And the paperback comes out to 416 pages. And kind of like the last one, it's just all words. There are some drawings, mainly talking about chaos there with Malcolm. Let's take a look real quick at the hardback. So on the inside of the hardcover edition, we do have a map. It does come in on the trade paperback as well, though just the scan quality wasn't as good, and so you get a lot more detail here. In here you do see all the dinosaurs and sizes that they appear in the book. You can see we do have a Stegosaurus in here returning from Jurassic Park. We see Triceratops is appearing, Parasaurolophus, of course the Velociraptors we've talked about, Carnotaurus, which have one of the coolest scenes in the book in my opinion. And then on the left side we see the Tyrannosaurus Rex, the Myosaurus here, the Pachycephalosaurus, the Procompsognathus, and the Apatosaurus, and again just the map of the whole island, kind of showcasing where everything happened. You see the village lab, you see where the trailers are, and the game trail, and the shed. You see the Rex nest, you see the Ridge Road. This is where Diego was attacked, the helicopter landing spot where Dodgson lands, the boathouse, raptor nest, the hide, and then the valley where they do a lot of their viewing of the dinosaurs. It's also on the back as well, and another picture of Michael Crichton there. The hardcover edition clocks in at 393 pages. And something I've always liked, and I think I mentioned this with Jurassic Park, is just the style of the paging, where it isn't all even and it's different varying lengths. I just thought was always really cool. It had a really nice texture. I remember thinking that when I was a kid and read it. So yeah, Lost World, which was a sequel to the book Jurassic Park, as well as, I guess, pseudo-sequel to the movie, mainly in form of, well, Ian's alive. In the first book, it wasn't in super detail. It's kind of just brushed off like it was kind of assumed Malcolm had died. They hadn't heard anything, so they figured he had succumbed to his injuries. It's kind of how it was written. And so here he's back, because in the film, Ian, as you guys know, doesn't die. And so he returns and he kind of jokes about it. Well, I was only, I guess, kind of dead. So yeah, Malcolm's back. And his character is interesting. I know I said this in the Society talk. I do like his character growth more as the film versions versus the book. In the book, it almost seems like he becomes Grant in a way. Like, he's just super excited to get back on the island and study the dinosaurs. Well, at the same time, he's not going around telling anybody about Jurassic Park or anything, which is obviously vastly different than movie Malcolm, where he was telling people about what happened. No one believed him. It kind of destroyed his career. And he's very hesitant to go back to the island, and only goes because Sarah, his girlfriend, is already on the island. In the book, Sarah is back. She is more like, I would say character-wise, even more of a stronger female lead than what Julianne Moore gave us in the film. She does, in a way, kind of remind me of like a Sarah Connor. But they're not really dating. There's, I guess, some kind of brief things here and there where characters are kind of making jokes about it. And Malcolm's like, no, it's only serious, you know. So that's different. Kelly is in the book as well as the movie, but in the movie she's Malcolm's daughter, and here she's not. She's actually works with Dr. Levine along with her friend Arby, who doesn't go into the movie at all. Neither does Dr. Levine, who kind of fills the role of the paleontologist that Grant filled in book 1. Doesn't get like a character doppelganger or anything, or a crossover, or anyone trying to be him under a different name in the movie. As well as there is also Dr. Thorne, who actually builds all the gadgets here. Eddie, who you guys know built all the stuff in the movie, is in the book, but he didn't build everything. He's a younger kid, so a little bit different. No Nick Van Owen. So I know that's actually some people's favorite character from The Lost World, even though I know some people aren't the biggest fan of his performance and inclusion in the film. As far as the characters who are eaten on the good side, it's pretty similar. Eddie is the real only one on the good side, because Levine doesn't die, Thorne doesn't die, Malcolm doesn't die, the kids don't die. Diego dies, which he's another character. He was there helping Levine. He ends up getting eaten early on by the Carnotaurus, though because of their camouflaging ability, Levine really didn't know what was going on. Of course, also following in the book footsteps, John Hammond was eaten by the compies in that one, and kind of a brutal style death. So in this one, the island truly is a lost world. No one really knows it's out there. But again, it does follow some of the same story beats. Dinosaurs are washing up on the mainland. We get a little bit of an investigation, and Levine actually sees some people burning a carcass of a dinosaur, which leads him to want to go explore. And it's kind of got King Kong-ish vibes going on, or Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World. Also, the reason it's a whole Site B is because in the end of book 1, they napalm the island. The island's gone, so they had to make a reason why they'd go. Hence the new island, where it was like the prototype where they would raise the dinosaurs. Now on the opposite side, we do have Dodson. He plays the main human villain character in the book. We do know he doesn't show back up in the films until Dominion, but he is the main baddie here, and he fills the role in a way that Peter Ludlow did in the film. Though in the film, Peter Ludlow still works for InGen. He's just trying to recoup some of the losses as InGen goes towards, Chapter 11. In this one, obviously Dodson's back with Biosyn, and he's trying to get some of the dinosaur eggs to go on and sell on the black market. So some stuff we actually did eventually kind of see going into the film franchise as well. Tagging along with them, we got their paleontologist, Bastleton, the Hunter Pack in the films. They do have a paleontologist as well, who is kind of modeled after Bacher, who's a real scientist. He's not named Bakker, obviously, in the film, but that's who he's clearly supposed to be. As well as you got King in here as well. As far as this side, they all die. Everyone's eaten by dinosaurs on this side. The first one to go is Bastleton. He's eaten by the Tyrannosaurus in a pseudo-retcon, perhaps, but it's when the Tyrannosaurus actually sees him. He's standing still. He thinks that's the way to go. The Tyrannosaurus sees him, kind of plays around, and then just eats him. And they do make some digs at some other paleontologists as well as Grant, which I thought was odd because in the Jurassic Park novel, the only reason he knew that worked is because he stood still and he thought that was odd, versus in the film, obviously. So again, you kind of see where it's like blurring the lines between book and film. King is eaten by velociraptors that just kind of eat him alive and act kind of like Komodo dragons. They do have this really precise hunting method, but then when it's time to eat, they are just like attacking each other, going to a frenzy. Just it's wild. And then Dodgson, like I said, fills very well in for the Ludlow character, where at the end he does get eaten by the youngster Tyrannosaurus as the adult takes him back to the nest and feeds him. Kind of similar to how Ludlow bites the dust in the film. So the book does take a little bit to get going. I will say it's a little bit longer of a character-driven story to get to the island compared to the first book, though you do get little nuggets here and there, including the Carnotaurus attack on Diego, though it doesn't say it was Carnotaurus yet there. But once it gets to the island, I will say the dinosaur stuff is super cool. You get some new dinos showing up, and you get some new just dino interactions, especially interspecific interactions, as far as like the adult Tyrannosaurs are shown even more loving and caring even towards each other, and there's more than just one baby in here. The unfortunate one does get his leg broken as the one team is trying to steal the eggs. And of course, like the film, one of the big things here that was carried over was the trailer scene where here Eddie's the one that, Malcolm and Sarah tell him to shoot the infant, who bites onto his leg, and they're like, he's not going to live, but he can't bring himself to do it, brings it back to the trailers, but then everyone goes and it's just Malcolm and Sarah there when the adults attack. Kind of very similar to how it is done in the film, though Thorne comes back to rescue and doesn't end up dying at the hands of the Tyrannosaur pair. And Ian, after that, is pretty much non-existent. He hurts his leg again and is just kind of a non-factor for the rest of the story. Sarah really carries it. There's a whole scene with Sarah chasing after one raptor. Like I said, I got a lot of like vibes of like the Sarah Connor, just that action hero-y type of vibe. The Maiasaur are here, showed as loving parents to the point they also find 2 stolen eggs and rescue them. The Tyrannosaurus rescue the infant, place it up in a tree for protection, mess up the trailers. The raptors are the main baddie once more, just being really quite vicious. The scene at the end where they're breaking into the convenience store, that's kind of like a horror vibe. The deaths are kind of brutal. I don't know if they're as brutal as the first one, but they are written pretty brutal, I will say. Now, the scene that I think steals it is the Carnotaurus scene in the worker village, where we see they have even better camouflage than chameleons, but again, it was dark. But they were able to replicate the night sky and the fencing and the bushes, and so Thorne can only hear the sounds of the breathing, which he describes as a horse breathing, where it's and it's actually through Sarah and Levine with flashlights going around that scare the Carnotaurus away. But the whole scene's really awesome. If you guys haven't read this book, I recommend that. There's also a really cool recreation with artist pictures on YouTube. I'll try to link it above. Go check it out if you guys want to see that. I think they did a great job. The Apatosaurs are back as the main big sauropod dinosaur as well. The Apatosaurs play a key role in the discovery that there's a disease on the island called DX, where the dinosaurs are not living to adulthood and dying early because they got bad sheep food and were injected with bad sheep blood and stuff like that. And it's killing them. And so none of the dinosaurs are reaching adulthood, which is interesting because the Tyrannosaurs are already like 40 feet long. So the size of the big adult Rexes we have on record. But yeah, it's shown that they're dying and they end up washing into the river, and they collect in this one specific bend of the river, and that's where the raptors actually make their nest, is this bend. So overall, I do recommend it. If you guys haven't read it, go check it out. It isn't on the same level, I will say, as Jurassic Park the book. Maybe not even the movie. I'll have to rewatch the film. It's different, but you can see that I think Crichton definitely had some ideas that he had from the first book that didn't make it into the movie, that he wanted to try to, maybe get in the second movie. Unfortunately, most of them didn't hear either, because the movie kind of borrows some things kind of sparingly, but nothing really intense or anything like that. So overall, I would say I'd give this a 7.25. It's pretty solid. Being that Michael Crichton wrote this book, it's going to be solid. I think he's a fantastic author, and one of the reasons I wanted to be an author growing up was Michael Crichton. He's not here to hear that, but he is one of the main reasons why I wanted to become an author growing up, and just my creative author juices got rolling was because of Crichton. So go pick it up. It's going to give you something different than the film did, so I recommend it. But until next time, guys, for more Culz book reviews, click the link to your left. For more about us here at Culz Paranormal, click the link to your right. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let us know what Crichton books should we be checking out, and how are you liking our Jurassic content so far.